Welcome to the, I don't know, third month of Go Central. We're celebrating all the great things in the city of Central that make this the greatest place on earth to live, work, raise, play, and just exist. We are having the Central Police Department tonight, grown up from one little appointed chief, one little elected chief 15 years ago to the largest powerhouse law enforcement entity maybe in the state. Um, so we have Chief Roger Corcoran and Assistant Chief Cliff Ivy, and of course Gordy and Kristen. And I guess we just kick it off and let Gordy and Kristen pepper you with questions and talk about everything except those things. So now look, we're on Facebook and Facebook Live and YouTube Live. If you tuned in, I see a bunch of you tuning in already. If you got questions for Roger, want to tell an embarrassing story about Cliff, you're welcome to put those on there, and we'll read them aloud. But seriously, if you have some questions you want to ask, let's keep it to the positive things, informing people, and no complaints about speeding and that kind of stuff. So, Roger, give us a little history of you and the police department and Assistant Chief Ivy, and then we'll turn it over for some kind of targeted questions for you.
Well, I won an election a couple of years ago, and I've been in my 2.5 years here now. And the police department has really grown. It's started out with 6 employees, and now there's 28, counting our chaplain and myself. So it's growing, and we're doing a lot of police work. It's grown from just writing tickets and writing wrecks to doing real police work like all the rest of the departments across the state.
Okay, Chris, go first. Ladies first.
Oh.
And Cliff, I do got to say, Cliff, I met Cliff Ivy back years ago when he was with the Baton Rouge City Police. We worked on the honor guard together, doing memorial services and stuff. And I've known him all these years. He stayed in law enforcement. And I asked him to come as my assistant chief, and he agreed to come. It was a great asset for the police department.
Now, you're not just a police officer, though, right?
No, sir, I'm not. I'm going to give a shameless plug here. I'm one of the owners of the best barbecue in Louisiana, at Couillon's Barbecue, from Port Allen, 2 locations on the east side in Baton Rouge, for your convenience. And I also am an attorney and have my own law practice.
I did not know you were involved with Couillon's. That's one of my favorite barbecue places.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll jump in, and I'll start, Kristen. So let's explain the relationship between the Central Police Department and East Baton Rouge Sheriff. Obviously, I had a tour 2 Saturdays ago. I get a tour of all of Central, and I didn't realize the size of Central. It's a little bit smaller than Baton Rouge, actually. So it's a pretty big city. So how does that relationship work?
It's not much smaller than Baton Rouge. We're one of the largest cities in the state. We're 60, almost 68 square miles. We work very closely with the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office. Of course, I retired from there. I did 34.5 years there. So I know most of the sheriff's deputies and the sheriff. I've done a lot for the sheriff over the years, and he does a lot for me. I've learned a lot from him, and we work well together. Central Substation, our guys and their guys, we respond to calls together. It's one team. We don't work as two. We're 2 different entities, but we don't work that way. We work as a team. It takes a team to work a city, a parish.
Well, I'll throw something out there. I first met Roger on his detail for football games, and that's been 15 years ago. I guess you were doing that, and that's
probably longer. I ran the security for Central High football for almost 20 years, a little over 20 years. So as a sheriff's deputy, it was a wonderful deal working with all the kids from the community, and I learned to. Met those kids back years ago who turned into parents with kids that watched them on the football teams and the cheerleaders and baseball, basketball, all of that.
So
it was great.
How does Central Police Department now integrate into all that?
Well, the sheriff's office still has the detail. I ran it with the sheriff's office, and when I retired from the sheriff's office, one of the other officers, deputies, Lieutenant Wheeler, took it over, and we still work the football games with them. They work the football games. I think they have 5 deputies out there, and we have 4 officers, and whatever reserve officer we have, they'll come out and work too. We'll take care of the natural things, the parking lots and the gates, and we'll walk around to make sure there's no trouble, which gotta give it to Central. Central has raised some good kids. We very rarely have anything that happens at the football games. Maybe a little argument every now and then, but it's nothing that's out of the ordinary.
And Councilman, as I've made reports at council meetings as well to y'all, that details for which the mayor's office has charged us with providing securities at different functions in the city that we've worked. I've also testified to the character of the residents because during my tenure here since October, we've had absolutely no problems.
0. The events that we had over at Central Square, and we have the upcoming event over fireworks event at the 3rd of July. And we do cooking for kids and whatever.
I opened the door for you to tell the most fun thing. How many times do you get to go under lights and siren except on a Friday night?
Well, when we escort the teams,
go.
we escort the teams we assist us in the sheriff's office. We'll escort the teams from the high school to the football games, or if they go out of town, we'll help escort out of town. But it's a good deal for these kids.
Yeah, I know that they like that. That's fun. To have the police escorting you with the light makes you feel really special.
Us big kids enjoy it too.
Yeah, oh yeah. So I hear y'all have new body cams.
We're getting those.
Okay.
Have some that we were using from Axon. That's what most of the police departments use from Axon. We are with the council approved it in our budget, and we're getting body cameras, and it's going to be a good thing for our officers. It stops a lot. It stops the bad publicity. If somebody says that they said something and they really didn't, we can look back, and it keeps everybody honest. And I think it's a good thing. And it's the safety of it is just overwhelming for my officers here.
Let's talk about training. And, I think one of the things fascinating to me is just being in the radio business, some of the topics that we hear come through is the cybercrime. And it all evolves. How much do you hand a lot of this off to the sheriffs? Is that something that y'all deal with, or do you see more of that in this day and age?
Well, we see a lot of it. And we give that to the sheriff's office on the cyber crimes. They have divisions, detective divisions that's all they do. They work the cyber crimes, and we don't work the big investigations on molestations and stuff. Well, we give all that to the sheriff's office because they have dedicated.
Or even out here, you see more of it.
Cyber crimes. Cyber crimes is everywhere. We get a lot of phone calls on, especially with the young children. They're getting on all these special TikToks and all these new apps that are out there that us as adults, they're making these things, and it travels fast through the kids where these sites are, and we don't know that about these sites. And when we find them, we find out about these sites, we automatically alert other law enforcement agencies, and we get on and we monitor them, and so we can catch these predators out there, because there's predators on all these sites that will harm our children, and that's the last thing we want to happen.
So, a question from a watcher: does CPD go to organizations to give talks on safety? And if you don't, would you be willing if contacted?
Yes, we will. I've done that before in the past. Over my tenure, my 36-year tenure, I have, and I have no problem doing that on safety, about your house, about your residence, or about children out there on getting on Facebook. And
RA has a popular program. It's called Refuse to Victim. chief is fixed to hear this for the first time, but a few years ago, I went through the coursework to be an instructor and be able to present that program. So, yeah, certainly what the chief said as far as more than willing to put those programs. And go back to something that Gordy had asked both in terms of investigations we're handling, coupled with what's our relationship with the sheriff's office. Without getting into too much details, I believe the first and only homicide that we had this year, officers from Central Police responded initially and were the first ones on the scene and actually detained the suspect. And at that point, the investigation was turned over to the sheriff's office. So we are largely a first responding agency. Our difficulty comes in with manpower we have that could be unable to be devoted for follow-up and crime scene process.
Cliff, could you get a little closer to the mic? His mic is not picking up a few of your words. That's great. Thank you.
Chief, I wanted to know, I think coming from East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office, obviously a bigger footprint, and you know, Baton Rouge has a lot of people that I think come to college here and stay, and continues to grow. Where, you know, Central certainly has some new families coming in, but you have a lot of legacy. You truly have a community which you've been a part of, and you know, and talk about the differences of going from East Baton Rouge Sheriff to going to a central-like city where you have tremendous community support, you have relationships, and everybody is truly looking out for each other.
Everybody looks out for each other. I mean, it's working for the sheriff's office and working here is no different. It's still law enforcement. It's still the same concept. You do the same job. Just Central Police Department here, we're working towards, you know, a full-time department. And we're doing everything we can. We're out. All my guys here that work, they've all been to the same schools that, you know, detectives or officers with the Baton Rouge City and with the sheriff's office. They've all been through academies also. They're no different. They continue to go through school. They have so many hours they got to put in per year, and they continue to go to school and to learn all that they can learn. And I'm big on education. I myself still go to schools. I just completed the FBI Leader School for Leadership, which was 3 different classes at a week, 3 different week classes that I had to take to be able to get that, the trilogy on it. But it's always a learning experience, and it doesn't matter how long that you've been in it. If you're not learning something, you're not doing anything. You got to learn something new every day. And these young officers here, I went through the academy back in the 80s. A lot has changed since then as far as the laws and how some things are enforced. And there's got so much more that you can go into, and especially with the technology that we have today. These younger officers, they're very much into technology, and they stay on top of it. And it helps us out with our job and in law enforcement. The technology is just overwhelming.
And as Kristen and I here both have children. And Dave, you have grandchildren coming. And
if I haven't mentioned that, I do have a grandson, Emrys. He's a year old now. Thank you, Gordy.
So, you know, for parents, so you mentioned TikTok and cyber stalking, and that's certainly something that's on our radar. For parents, grown-up kids in this day and age, are there anything out there maybe that you know, we should be more aware of that maybe isn't on the front page of the news?
Well, I mean, one thing about the social media that's out there, the kids are getting on these things, and parents are giving these children cell phones and these devices at so young of age, and parents are letting them put locks on these deals, on these phones and stuff, where they have passwords, and the parents don't even know their passwords and stuff. You've got to stay on top of these things because a predator will act like a child and lure them in. We see it every day on the news where they're missing and exploited children. And we don't want that here. Parents need to be more involved and don't let them have these things too young, and watch what they're looking at. Look at the histories of their phones, these devices, and make it where they can't delete the history, because you can do that. And they have different apps that you can go to the AT&T store or or any of the phone outlets, and they can tell you what to put on your phone to keep them from it. And you can actually track them. It needs to be done. Like I say, for instance, some of these parents I've seen, they give their child a phone, and the parent has a watch, one of the watches, and actually they can see who they're texting and what they're going to from their watch, from their, I guess, their smart watch. And they can see that. Pay attention to those things, because the last thing we want to do is be looking for a child that has happened now. And luckily, we had, with the grace of God, we located the child. Us in the sheriff's office, we worked together and together, and we found.
And Gordy, one really good resource for parents, the Attorney General's office. I've served there briefly as an investigator. But when they have a dedicated Internet Crimes Against Children task force that walk to other agencies statewide, and in fact at times nationwide, I believe they put out a lot of promotional material and guides for parents with respect to the line, supervising your children. They activate these apps via text, social media.
But I mean, as he's saying, at the Attorney General's office and the AG's office over there, it's to have both them there, the sheriff's office works in tandem with them, state police, all agencies involved. And when we have something, we'll contact them ourselves, and they will start an investigation on them. They'll come out and we'll start an investigation, or they will, and to try to catch these people.
Do you?
So I have a question about that. Whenever you have a situation like that, do you often, you said you have like there's cyber crimes detectives that actually do the research and like dig into it further, and then do they end up having to like contact the actual social media outlets? Like how extensive does that get?
Oh, it goes all the way up to the person that has the apps. The subpoenas are done, and search warrants and stuff. But once we get the information, we gain the information, we turn it over to the AG's office, and they have a division that I know a lot of the guys that work on it, and they are very, very good at what they do, and that's what they do all day.
Right.
And they work with the FBI. Exploited children, they work with them all, and because we want to get these people off the street.
Right, absolutely.
How about Central as a community? What's the biggest needs for your department, or how can we support being a community police force here? How can we support you? What things would you like to see for the community?
Anytime they see anything, we like them to call us. Any suspicious people in their neighborhoods, and I like to tell the people, I like to tell my officers, who's in our neighborhoods. We have people that stay at home all day, especially since we've had this pandemic. People that stay at home all day, they know who when somebody comes in their neighborhood, who belongs and who doesn't belong. Especially the retired people. When you see them, stop them and talk to them. Flag our officers down. We'll talk to you. That's what I tell them to do. If you see someone in their front yard, stop and talk to them. Get to know them where they get to know you. Trust is one big thing. We have to trust our community, and our community has to trust us. We are going to do what we have to do to get the bad people off the street, and we don't want them in our community, and we're going to do everything we can to try to keep them out of our community. Because if you see, you've watched the news, it's all around us, and it doesn't matter where it's at. We try to keep as much of that out of here as we can, and we're going to fight. It is a fight. It's a fight every day, but it takes the community's help to catch these people.
Well, two follow-up questions to Gordy's question. First of all, you mentioned the pandemic. Have you seen a reduction in neighborhood crimes during the day with as many people staying home? And the second question, Are there any neighborhood watch programs in Central, and would you like to see them increased or created? And how would they go about getting with you on that?
Well, before the pandemic, we had a couple of some neighborhoods. We went out and spoke with them. They had meetings over at Ellengraft Elementary, and which was a great thing. The people that showed up, they asked a lot of questions, and we try to stay in the neighborhoods. We patrol them, and during the pandemic, a lot of people at home, so it kind of slowed down a little bit. But then, as everybody started getting out, things increased. You still have some burglaries at night. People need to lock their vehicles, and if you have cameras, watch your cameras. And if you hear someone outside up under your carport, please do not go out and confront them. Don't. Let us do that. You contact us, dial 911, and we're coming. Us, the sheriff's office, state police, we're all coming because we want to catch them. But just be careful and don't confront them, because when you confront them, that's when something bad can happen, and we don't want anyone to get hurt.
So whenever it comes to like hurricanes and tropical storms and floods, like in 2016, what kind of things do you guys do for the community? If y'all could kind of talk about that.
Well, we work with along with the fire department and the sheriff's office. I mean, we have big meetings before EOC meetings before the storm even comes. If there is a storm or some bad weather coming, we get with them. We sit down and make a game plan. As you know, of course, we put out with sandbags and whatever, and we call out all our people to come out and work these things. Myself, I'm out there with them, the assistant chief, and all our officers, because you know, some of them have to go back to the fire department, but we all work together. Like in the deals that we have had, we were all on the same radio. I've gone as far as giving our fire department, they have our channel on our radio where when they have something like a tree down across the road, they can contact us and we can contact them. Our city services, the last thing we had, our city services, we were cutting trees that they were cutting them off of any state highway, regular highway, city street, wherever we can do it, and bringing out their equipment. And those guys worked hard. And all of our guys, and we have a lot of citizens out there helping us. They came out with chainsaws, but we try to prepare for all that. And all I can say is, like, we're talking about the drainage. Please keep your ditches clean so that water can get out of here, because we don't want a flood like we had in 2016. And that was a freak deal, and we don't want that to happen again, God forbid. It was a terrible thing. A lot of people lost love. We don't want to lose anything or any lives.
Let me switch gears a little bit. A tough topic always to discuss out there is narcotics, drugs, and let's, saying again, working downtown in Baton Rouge and being in the media business, certainly it comes across our desk and our stations. But if you would talk about Central, how does it compare to Baton Rouge and as parents, as community, is something we need to be aware about?
Well, we've made arrests. We're no different than anyone else in the parish. We've made quite a few arrests for drugs in vehicles, on traffic stops. My guys are, it's sometimes I think they're dope dogs themselves. They stop them and they arrest them and they get a pretty good bit of dope. All kinds of drugs. We've seen heroin, crystal meth, marijuana. We got some fentanyl a couple nights ago. We do have it out here, and we get a lot of calls for overdoses, and they do all over the parish, but we get a lot of them out here too, and we hate to see that. And parents need to watch our children, and it's a sickness, and we got to help them. We have to put together a program, and we've been discussing that with a couple people on the council. And a couple of citizens, they've contacted me, and we want to get together and try to put something together where we can put together a program, something at one of the churches, something, so we can get these kids out and talk to them. because we don't want them to be hurt, and we don't want any families to be hurt. It is a sickness, and the sickness needs to be. The government has taken a lot away as far as help out here, and the help needs to come back. There's a lot of programs. There's a lot of programs in Louisiana and different states that have houses that they can go to. They have programs where they can go to talk to them. And if you think your child is on it, Walmart sells a drug test. Go get a drug test. And if you find out they're doing it, get them in a program. Let's get them in a program. Let's try to get them off this stuff because it starts small. It might start, oh, it's just marijuana, but then it grows to other things. And you know, these drug dealers out here putting fentanyl and stuff, and it's hurting a lot of kids. It's hurting a lot of adults.
Wait, Roger, you said Walmart sells drug testing kits?
Yes, sir.
I had no idea.
Your pharmacies sell drug testing kits that you can test your children.
You know, he coming back to us, if anything, we could do, you know, signs or anything out there to be on the lookout. You know, obviously, and you mentioned fentanyl. No, that's been a buzzword, and certainly price. Understanding that it's not very expensive, it's not hard to get, and it's so, you know, all of it's dangerous, but even more deadly. And having somebody that I knew that passed from it, so certainly. It's out there, and it is a problem. If anything that we should be looking for.
Well, keep your eyes open. I mean, they're doing drug deals in parking lots, you know, and that's happens everywhere. I mean, you see it happening. If you see it happening, give us a call. We will come out and do it. We'll come out and check them out, and it don't matter if we get a small amount. Small amount, the big, as long as we get it off the street, that works. And we got to get it off the street. You can't just start at the big guy. You got to catch the little guy too. The little guy, big guy, he's just hurting the little guy, and that's where it starts. These kids that are doing these drugs think these people are their friends, and they're not. They're friends because they're giving their money to them. And it's really hurting a lot of people and a lot of families. And I hate to see a family go through that.
Gordon, you asked about what was some of the things that you would look for. If it's a family member or a friend, certainly any inexplicable change and sudden change in behavior by someone.
Non-sleep, because usually someone that does some of these drugs, that they won't sleep for days, and that's hard not to see. And if you find that, I mean, call a doctor. Call. You know, they have different places that are close to Baton Rouge. Call them and try to give them help. If you got to get them drug tested, get them drug tested. It's take them to your family doctor. Your family doctor can do that. The general doctors that we have.
Let me stray a little bit back to a couple of weeks ago. We had autism on here, and one watcher wanted to know if CPD is involved at all with the tracking bracelets for the autistic and Alzheimer's. Are you aware of that program? And do we?
The fire department has it. The fire department actually has it, and that's a program that they have, and they have the trackers. And anytime we have anything of that, we have someone that's lost or autism, child with autism, or any kind of handicap, or an elderly person, they contact us and we automatically respond. We respond. We really don't go home till we find them. It's around the clock search, fire department and us. And you know, we hate to see anyone hurt, and hopefully bring everybody home safely.
Well, I know you've had some changes recently in rank structure, and talk about that, and kind of rolling into that, the training academy and some of the people you're bringing on. What's the training academy like, and what is post certification? Kind of wrap all those things up for us. Roger, you're getting out of frame a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go.
we actually have 2 officers now that are in the Reserve Academy, and it's a 29-week academy. They'll finish sometime in December, and it's very rigorous. Their first, I think, 2 weeks, all they do is shoot, and you know that's a make or break because you have to be able to fire a firearm. You have to make the right score, and if you can't make the score, you're not going to go any further. They have a lot of stuff. They teach them the laws of Louisiana, criminal law, criminal justice, defensive tactics. You learn from A to Z, and you take tests every week, and you have to score on these tests to go forward in these. I'm actually an instructor in the academy. I think Cliff has done some things too, but you have to be certified in the state of Louisiana to be a police officer. Any reserve that you have that works for you, you can hire them, but they have to go through some type of academy within a year. And so I'm not going to wait a year to send one through the academy. As soon as they start, they go to the academy when the first academy starts. And it's a long academy. It's not a cakewalk. These people that are in the academy are going 2 and 3 nights a week, plus every weekend. They're going Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They might give them one day off. They might give them a Saturday off or maybe a Sunday off. But virtually every weekend, it's a dedication. You know, and most of these people, they have full-time jobs. So they're doing this at night and every weekend being away from their families because they have it in their heart they want to do that. And to be a police officer, you got to have that. Going to the Post Academy, now the Post Academy is what, I think 14, 16 weeks through quarter that the Sheriff's Office puts on. And when the Sheriff's Office puts it on, they have instructors from anywhere from the FBI, Secret Service. Myself, I still do it. But they're from lawyers, DA's office, from all aspects of law. They come in and they instruct all the students. And then they have to get up and they got to run, do so many miles, push-ups, sit-ups, very rigorous. And they have to go through it, you know, and each academy has a different length. State Police Academy has so many weeks. Baton Rouge City has so many weeks. But like Carter does most everything in the southern part here. Different agencies across the southern part of Louisiana. Any agency, they have the DPS has been through there, the Fire Marshal's Office, probation and parole. They've all been through it. And it's a very good academy. And you have to have these things to be a police officer. And you got to stay on your game. That's why you have, I think it's 40 hours. You have a bunch of hours you have to do throughout the year. And you got to do them in each different subject. 20, and they want to make it go up. You have to shoot your firearm. You've got to shoot twice a year to make your qualification scores. You got to be able to do, you got to go taser certification, defensive tactics certifications, going through all the handcuffing and you name it, you have to do it. And they've put ground fighting in there and it's pretty rough. And, but you have to be out here. It's, not everything is, it's not just riding around in the car. You've got to be able to handle everything like you're anywhere from a psychologist to putting a Band-Aid on a little kid's knee. You know, you handle everything. No matter what it is, you have to be able to handle it. And you're expected to do that. And the public expects it. And we do the best we can. And it's just a lot of hard work and we want to go home at the end of the day. Safety is our biggest thing, not only for us, it's for our community. And we want to keep our community safe. So I want all my guys, that's why I put them in the training they go to. I want them to go home at the end of the day. We all have families. My job is no different than yours, just a different type.
So they come in as a private or what? But we got the 2 top dogs right here, the chief and the assistant chief. Tell us what's in between the academy and you guys, because you got a new structure in place. They come in as an officer.
And once they're officer, I mean, it depends on their academy that they've gone through and their work performance and everything where you can get promoted. We don't have a corporal at this time, but we have officer, then you have sergeant, lieutenant, and then we don't have a captain's position at this time. We have the assistant chief. He's the director of operations. We have 2 lieutenants that everybody answers to, all the road personnel answers to, and we have a lieutenant over our communications division. Our communications are all civilians except for the lieutenant. She has actually been through a post-police officer. I mean, she's post-certified, but the rest of our dispatchers are actually civilians, and they get trained to take the phone calls and dispatch our officers. And it's a lot more to it than that because they've got the big elaborate computer system, especially the new one that we're going to, the new RMS system. And it keeps everything in line to where it can be. It keeps stats where it can go to the federal government and everything, where they can keep up stats throughout the country.
Yeah, Lieutenant Lewis, Michelle Lewis, she is head over dispatch, but she is everything from the head of dispatch to our in-house IT consultant. She is truly the glue that keeps the machine together.
What else would you like to tell us about the department? We can wrap it up with whatever you'd like to talk about. You maybe tell us about some of your some people call them toys, but like command center and some of the things that differentiate the police department from just being on patrol and being able to do some more specialized things like your on-site stuff and your ATV and that kind of thing.
Well, I can tell you, I just don't sit behind a desk. And the assistant chief doesn't either. I do have a desk here, but I do get out and patrol. I actually worked last night, patrol till 2:30 this morning. Then came in to work this morning. It takes a team, and we all work as a team here. The assistant chief also, we whatever the holes need to be filled in, we fill in. And I think the assistant chief wants to talk.
Yeah, I'm kind of the proverbial jerk from out of town. I'm a South Baton Rouge boy, and I got dropped into Central right around the time the chief dealt with COVID. But we've known each other for a long time, mid-90s. He told me what he wanted and what he envisioned for the department, and that was to expand operations, not get our officers away from just traffic enforcement. Traffic enforcement is a part of what we do. We are not a traffic division. So focusing more in neighborhoods when people are at work during the day, focus on businesses when they're at home during the night. That's not to say we don't write tickets, we do. So a lot of those traffic stops ends up leading to, just the other night, a fairly buffet line of various drugs found in one car, along with a disguise and some electronic equipment that likely indicates the person was also engaged in some kind of credit card cloning or theft from retail establishments. That's another example of how we kind of co-opted in the sheriff's office with that information, because chances are that's been used before. You're probably looking for someone who fits that description. But we have expanded our operations and do every day.
And we're going to continue to do that. This is a police department, and it's going to be at work as such. And we're going to do the tools that we have, we're going to use. And we're going to continue to get new tools. And we're going to use those tools, and we're going to put everything in play. And we do some investigations here too. I'm not going to say we don't do investigations, because we do. I'm an investigator by trade. I did over 30 years as a detective. There's not much I can't work. I work anywhere from homicide to narcotics. I've worked all this, and Cliff has worked a lot of investigations too. We can do it. We have the manpower to do all of it. No, we don't, but we will. And we're going to build. We're going to build the steps. We're going to build them up high. I expect a lot out of my officers here. Professionalism, and integrity, and I expect a lot of them, and they do as we need to do here. And we're going to continue to when the public has something, they need something, they can call us, come by here, and like I tell all of them, we always have coffee on. Come on by. If you have a problem, come on by. We can sit down and talk about it. I'll talk to anyone. It don't matter who you are, how old you are. Come on by here.
I'm not going to take you up on that because if I go in there, Debbie's going to tell me how to run my business. So,
I can see that happen.
I'll skip
He
on
tells
that.
me the same.
Okay. But I will say, somebody that moved my family out here 11 years ago, I'm grateful for everything that you and your team does, because this is an incredible place to raise a family.
It is.
Absolutely.
We want to keep it that way.
Yes.
Well, Chief and Assistant Chief, thanks for being with us. We're going to take a few minutes to talk about some upcoming events, but if you got any parting words of wisdom, just thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Give us a call if you see something. Call us. We're coming.
Awesome. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
You can stick with us, Roger. Or you can tune out. I just grabbed this fine-looking newspaper here, and I just thought I'd go through our events that are coming up. Of course, we have the Independence Day celebration. Do you have something on that, Kristen? Do you know much about that?
I know we have fireworks, live music. I believe it's 6 to 9. Is that what it says?
6 to 9 at the cooking property.
At the cooking property, amazing place on Blackwater. Yeah.
Is there? I've heard food trucks. Is that correct?
Yes, food trucks. Yes. Good. I'm glad you say that. Yes.
And do you know the name of the band?
I did know.
Bottoms Up. Here it is.
Bottoms Up. Yeah.
6 to 9 p.m. So
they're good too. They're a fun band. They play all kind of stuff. They're not just country, or they play all kind of good music.
I would like to throw a plug in there, Dave. August the 28th, we're putting on a fundraiser over at Christianwood for the Central Police Department, and it's to raise money for the Angel Armor vest, like other agencies wear. Carbon Copy is going to be there playing for us, along with what do they call it? They throw the bean bag and it's was it cornhole? Yes. They're going to have one of those. We're going to have a jumping thing for the kids. We're going to have a jambalaya cook-off, and all the jambalaya that's will be awards, and we have some good judges that we're going to have that's going to come out here. I think Sheriff Thibodeau from Point Capee is going to come in, and several of our judges from Baton Rouge are going to be in Whittemore. They're going to be judges, and so it's going to be a tough competition. We would like everybody to come out, but all proceeds, Cast Iron is putting it on. They're assisting us in it, and they're actually putting it on, Josh Austin and his crew with Cast Iron, and they're an amazing organization, and we're happy to have them, and they're coming to help us try to keep my officers safe with buying some Angel Armor.
I don't know if this is a conflict or not, but I have a listener said, "Well, Couillons have a food truck there." I know you have a food truck. I've bought from that food truck before. I tell you what, about 3 weeks ago, Mia and I drove all the way down to College Drive just to buy Couillons off that food truck.
Love that customer commitment, Dave. That customer loyalty.
No, it's Perkins. Perkins.
I'm sure if the food truck's not there, I'm sure some product will be.
We're also asked if there's a cover charge. I don't think there's any cover charge to get in. Doesn't say anything in the. If anyone gets charged cover charge, Gordy will reimburse you. And one other thing, as a matter of fact, Roger found out by accident tonight. We had a wonderful council meeting last week where two out of the 7 council members showed up. Some were traveling, some were sick, some were stuck in court. So that got rescheduled for tomorrow night. So anybody who doesn't already know that you're supposed to be at the council tomorrow night, Roger, then we'll see you at 6 o'clock at Kristenwood.
Thank you for letting me know, because I didn't know myself.
Not a problem.
Appreciate it.
didn't know either. Camps. I'm supposed to give plugs for camps. Karen Bush does a great job out at Central High School with the technology. That's obviously a growing sector. She's got sports tech camps starting Mondays in July. You can check that out on CHS Wildcat Scoop. Give that a big follow, or Central Athletic Foundation. Central Volleyball, outstanding program, July 12th and 14th. That camp is coming up. As is soccer, it's a co-ed camp. Coach Escola does a great job. July 15th to 16th at the stadium. And then softball, Coach Epperson, who was state champion, end of the month, July 26th to July 28th. And one other one I'm excited about, July 7th, July 8th, lacrosse. We just had a state championship tournament up here at Wildcat Stadium. It's a growing sport. And Central has a team, one of the probably 15 schools that actually has a team, but we've got an organization coming out here for a camp July 7th and 8th. So any age, young can come out and learn the game. So really excited, all the camps out here. There's something for the kids to do each and every week out here in Central.
And I challenge our citizens to come out and see them. I mean, they've been locked up for a long time. Come out and support our kids.
Well, Central is a great place to be. My wife has a shirt. She was born in Virginia. She said, Central, I wasn't born here, but I got here as quick as I could. So I really like that shirt. But thanks for being with us. And join us next week every Monday at 8 o'clock for all the great things going on in Central. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you all of you very much for what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Pleasure.
Bye-bye.